friends. Today is part 5, binding the candy cane quilt. I'm showing you here how I'm using the folded corner clipper, and that is by Creative Grids. This is kind of a new thing for me. I used to draw the line and then sew on the line and then trim it off. But I have found that this gives me a straighter edge because sometimes I wobble a little bit when I'm trying to sew on a line. And this one I can just line up with the edge of my foot and then just clip those little excess corners off there. It works for me. I enjoy it a lot. It goes faster, but a lot of people have different ways of doing these, making their binding, and all of them are good, whatever works for you. And then I will just take and open those seams up and press them out, and then I will press my binding in half lengthwise. That'll take a while, so I won't make you watch all of that. And then I will meet you back at the sewing machine to sew that binding onto my quilt. Oh, but first I need to get my binding ready as far as the end that I'm going to be sewing on first. I'm going to just clip off that little piece of selvage right there, and then I'm going to sort of fold it over at an angle, as you can see there. Crease that, and then I'm going to fold it back over so that what it does is it forms a little pocket there. So when I get to the other end of the binding, I can just place it inside there and then stitch the rest of it down. So I won't start stitching it at the very tip. I'll leave a few inches and then I'll come back and stitch the rest of it down. Okay, it's a time to bind. You can see that I've come down about 3 inches, and then I will just I'll just run my stitching along there at 1/4 inch. And sometimes I sew my binding on with my walking foot, but I didn't think about doing that this time, so I'm just using my 1/4 inch foot. I will, however, switch over to my walking foot when I get ready to turn it and stitch it down on the front, because it's just easier with that much bulk to use my walking foot. All right, so I will just keep stitching this until I get to the corner, and then I'll show you how I do that. So when I get to the corner, I'm going to take a little thin line marker and just mark a little line that will show me where my 1/4 inch is from the edge. And I'll just stitch down to that little mark, and then I'll leave my needle down and just turn it towards the corner and stitch right off the corner. And then I'll take and just clip that off. I have seen people just leave that on and turn it, but I haven't had any luck at that. So now I'm just going to fold it back in a minute. Okay, there we go. My hand is in the way, you can't see. All right, I'm going to fold it back on that little corner there at a diagonal. And then fold it back over on top of itself in a square. Make sure you get those little edges even at the top. And then we're just going to come over 1/4 of an inch and stitch straight down that outside edge. I guess I wanted to make sure that you could see what I was doing. So I'll just hold that little lip up there and then just go right down that edge at a 1/4 inch seam. And then do the same thing when I get to all the corners. And then we'll go ahead and do that. And then when we get to the end, I'll show you how to connect those two pieces of binding together. And then we'll go to stitching down on the front. So now we've gotten to the other side where we started, and hopefully I can show you efficiently how I attach those two pieces. So I'm just leaving, notice remember I left that knot stitched down. So now I'm just going to straighten it out, see how much I need to leave on there. You want to leave enough to get it well down inside the other piece. And I'm just going to hold it up there and then sort of lay it down and fit it inside. And then fold it over, make sure it's nice and snug. And I'm just going to hold it. You could pin it, I guess, if you wanted to. And then it looks like I did decide to put some clips on there. Better safe than sorry. Then I'm just going to go over both pieces with that one stuffed down inside the other one. See how easy that was? Very easy. All right, I'm just going to sew off the edge there. And then we'll get ready to flip this over and stitch it down on the front side. So I decided to go ahead and flip the quilt over to the front, and then I'll start pinning or clipping right there at that seam so that I don't lose that little snugness that I have there. And you'll be seeing me put a few more clips on now that I am getting ready to stitch that down. I started to tell you this earlier, but when I changed from, oh, it looks like I'm going to put my walking foot on now. But whenever I changed from 2.5 to 2.25 inch binding, when I'm machine stitching my binding down, which I usually always do, it produces a line of thread stitching on the back when you stitch it down on the front. But when you use 2.25 instead of 2.5, your stitching line is much closer to your binding. It's just almost right at the edge of your binding, so it's not nearly as noticeable as when you use 2.5. So that's the reason I'm sticking with 2.25. My friend at church and in our quilting group at church told me about that, and I tried it, and it's a no-brainer now for me. It just fits so much better, and don't have to worry about that big ugly line of stitching on the back because it just snuggles right up in there with the edge of that binding. So yeah, I'm sold on 2.25. All right, so I'll just keep stitching this down for a little while, and then when we get to the corner, we'll stop and talk about that for a second. Okay, it looks like we've gotten to the corner. You don't have a very good view of what I'm doing right there, but I think it will get better in just a second. So basically what we're going to do is the same thing that we did when we were stitching it on. Well, no, not really. we're just folding one side down and then folding the other side over on top of it to form that little corner. I wish I had a closer up view for you. And my hand is in the way. Sorry about that. I should have had my camera in a different position for that. But we're just going right to the edge of that fold, and then leave the needle down, turn it, put your foot back down, and just continue down the other side. So we're just folding it at a 90-degree angle so that we have that little slanted, mitered, I guess you'd say mitered, seam going across that. And you'll get a better view of it in a minute, of how it came out. I'm sure most of you are expert binders by now anyway. But yeah, see how that came out so nice. All right, we'll speed this binding up a little bit now and see what happens. This about wraps it up for the candy cane quilt. I appreciate all of you who have subscribed to my channel. I had no idea this little series of scrappy Christmas quilts would gain me so many subscribers. In addition to that, we had a shout out from Brenda at Conquering Mount Scrapmore, and I had a lot of Facebook friends that subscribed this year. So I want you all to know that I do appreciate you, and I hope that maybe you gain some little insights or little hints of things that you might want to try. I've learned a lot from watching others, so I just want to give back. And we can just all keep learning together. Y'all have a very blessed Christmas season, and I hope to see you back here soon.